Okay. So, first of all, thanks for your time. For anyone watching, I'm talking with Catherine Toniatti-Yanulavich. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Yes. Okay. Good. Toniatti is Italian, right?
Yes,
Toniatti.
that's correct. Yes.
And Yanulavich is Eastern European, Polish,
It's Lithuanian.
Lithuanian. Ah,
Yes.
nice, nice, nice.
So it's
Okay.
my husband's.
This is the your husband, and you are
And then
Toniatti.
Toniatti is mine.
So wait, you have Italian fathers?
Yes, so my grandparents were born in Italy and then they came to America many years ago.
That's cool. That's cool. Anyway, so you're basically a strong woman athlete, right?
Yes, yeah, I started in 2010.
First time you got a hold on an athlete stone was in 2010, right? And before that, you felt like an attraction or for strength sports, right?
Yes, I saw it on TV when I was
Right.
younger, probably 10 years prior.
So do you mean the strong woman in ESPN?
Yes, The World's Strongest Man on ESPN. I would watch it all the time. And
Yeah.
the first time I saw it, I was like hooked. I could not stop watching it.
Yeah, me too. I think we have the same age. So maybe you also watched the Marion Kusianowski era when he was the top, the best.
Yes, I watched that era, and then after I watched that stuff, I went back and watched some of the old stuff. So like John Paul Sigmarsson, Sven
Right.
Carlson, Magnus Samuelsson, they were like the guys that I was watching all the time, and they made me want to lift weights.
And you always felt strong, right?
I did always feel like that, but I never lifted weights, and I always wanted to. But it wasn't. I didn't actually start really lifting weights until I was like 23. I have done a powerlifting meet, and I respect those lifts. I do all those lifts, but after doing a powerlifting meet, it doesn't spark anything in me. It wasn't as exciting. Like,
Right.
It's just the weird stuff. It really lights a fire under me and gets me excited to do it. So. Yeah.
So you competed a lot. Huh?
Yeah, I probably from 2010 till now, I probably would do, somewhere between 3 and 5 competitions a year. So yeah, I've probably done more like 40, 45.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
What was your first competition?
My first competition, it was just local competition, but my first like sanctioned like Strongman Corporation competition was in September of 2010. And there was axle press, there was Atlas stones. I'm trying to think what else there was. Oh, there was like a silver dollar deadlift.
Nice.
That was my first competition, and I came in third,
Third?
which I was very happy with.
That's really cool. And also I saw that you got to compete at the Arnold's.
Yeah, so I did the Arnold in 2017.
Yeah.
Yep, in 2017. And the previous year, I qualified by coming in 9th in the middleweight at Nationals.
Right.
And then after the Arnold, I think you referenced the USS Pro Women's. I came in 5th at that competition in Memphis, Tennessee.
So that was a very active year, 2018.
Yes, I did a lot of competition.
You was at your top, at your best shape, basically.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, that was probably my top shape. I did 3 competitions before Nationals, and then I did Nationals, and then I did Worlds. So it was a very active year.
That was 4 years after your ankle injury.
Yes, I went to the Olympia because I was a heavyweight woman. Heavyweight women were the only class that they did at the Olympia, and right. It was like a medley. I did the farmers, and then I was carrying the duck walk back, and I knew what was happening. I couldn't stop it, and I just like really turned that ankle over. So just before the finish line, it happened, and unfortunately, I didn't get to finish the competition that year. But I did get carried off by Nick Best, Pro Strongman, so that was my claim to fame there. At least I got carried off by a famous strongman.
So I saw that injury took a really long time to heal, right?
It took a long time because they just did X-rays and said, "Oh, you're okay." And then when it continued to bother me later, I finally got some MRIs done, and they said, "Oh, you tore it almost completely." And they said, and it's caused some issues, so they had to go in there and fix the joint a little bit. And that happened 6 months before I went to nationals. I had that surgery.
The first time you got the injury, the doctor said you are fine. 2 years later, you started to notice something was wrong. This was not healing, and then you find out.
Yeah.
2 years later.
The issue was like they kept saying it would heal, and I kept waiting and waiting, and then I kept telling them, "Hey, I have no ankle mobility. I can't really squat below parallel. My ankle won't let me. It's like locked in place." And so finally I got a doctor that did an MRI and took it seriously, and he said, "Oh yeah, you actually chipped your bone when that original injury happened. The tendon was torn almost completely on both sides, and it healed weird, and now he said there's debris inside that joint that needs to come out, or you're not going to be able to flex the ankle properly." So he went in there and did that, and it's been much better since.
How did you feel with the doctors after you realized how serious it was? Did you feel angry with them? Like, you let me 2 years with debris on the joint? Right.
I was a little, I wasn't that angry, but I was a little angry. I was a little more angry at myself that I listened to them and didn't just say, "You don't know what you're," like, I wish I'd pushed the issue more. I just kept listening to them and saying, "Oh, okay." But finally, when I did push the issue and I went to a different doctor, it did get resolved, but it did set me back probably a year. So. But
anyway, after that, you did got to do many PRs and more competitions. So
I was too stubborn. Too stubborn to stop training, and maybe a little bit part of it also was I didn't want to stop training, and maybe I was a little afraid to hear I'd need surgery because they'd say, "Well, now you can't train." So maybe that was a little bit, I have to admit.
How do you handle the training while you have an injury?
It's tough mentally, but I sort of try to look at it like when this happened, I said, well, my pressing could get stronger. So I sort of focus like, well, I can't do that. Let me focus on getting another lift really good. And then I try to remind myself that when I can train the other again, it'll come back quick. Don't worry. You'll get back there, and it gives me more of an opportunity to focus on stuff that I don't normally focus on. So
now I wanted to check your lifts so people can understand the type of strength you have. So you have a 275 squat, and that puts you above 73%, which is strong. And then you have a close grip. You don't do like wide grip bench press, right?
Never. I always do close grip because we don't do bench in strongman, and I feel it carries over better. Yes.
So you have a 260.
160.
This is for 60 pounds. 160.
Yeah.
160.
Yeah.
Which is not bad. This is strong. And your deadlift is like your best lift, right?
Yes.
So here you are at elite level compared to females with a 380 pounds deadlift. This is
Yes. Yep, that's the one.
Yes, this is really impressive because it's really rare to see a woman lifting so heavy without straps and almost 400 pounds. Do you still have the 400 as a goal?
Actually, when I was a much heavier body weight, I have deadlifted 410. So my goal was always to get back there at a lower body weight. So that's still my goal.
Right. And you have also done, this is a really impressive lift.
Yes. Yep. This was an axle. So I did have straps. It was an axle, and I guess that's probably like 15 inches.
Yeah. This is really impressive. 200 kilograms, 440, right?
Yes. Yes. Yep.
This is basically 2018, your strongest year so far.
Yes. Yeah. This was at I would say my peak.
So you have also done other really cool lifts, like this is 100 kilograms per hand.
Yes. Yep.
Come on, Cat, keep it moving. Feet
You have a really good grip.
Just keep going.
Yes. Yeah. You need a really good grip.
Don't stop.
And yeah. I love to train my grip.
That
Yeah.
grip, that's great because the
Yeah.
handle there on the Cine Stone are really thin, right?
Yes, those ones were very thin. I think even thinner than the usual Denny grips. He apologized to us because he's like, they're a little bit thinner. It hurt very bad, that thin handle, but it was really cool. No, I wasn't really competing. It was just, as entertainment for the Oktoberfest.
Right, for the
but
Oktoberfest, yes. But still,
yeah,
that's really
yeah,
impressive.
it was pretty fun because they were cheering for you like you were famous. So it felt really good to do that and to
Right,
lift it as long as I did.
Also,
so.
you have like this female Viking look with the dress. All you needed was the helmet with the horns, and it was
Yeah.
you look like a
Yeah.
Viking. Yes.
Yeah.
Do you have
It actually wasn't that hard to lift in a dress either.
And this one is also interesting. This is your application for the official Strongman Games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's go. Get to work. Come on.
You got the invite after this, right?
Yes, I did get the invite. It went off. This was December of 2019.
Right.
But it was a disappointing show for me because I got the flu sort of right in the middle of it.
So
I only lifted one deadlift bar. I didn't get the Viking press. I did the farmers, which was 230 per hand. That was part of the training, that other video we saw. I did that, but I lost my grip before the turn, and then my medley was pretty disappointing. So I was just sort of in really rough shape to compete, and yeah, it ended up being disappointing. So there wasn't really any videos or anything.
Well, you started using the site. The first workout you posted was this one. First workout after spraining an ankle. Yes. So
yes, that's correct.
yes.
I had no idea that was the first one that I logged on the
that's
site.
Crazy. That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
How did you find out about the site? Do you remember even?
Somebody that I trained with at the time had told me about it and said, you should check this site out. And I think I went there and I was like, oh, I can put any exercise in, because I did really weird stuff like strongman stuff. And there was no app anywhere that when I wanted to log what I did, I could actually log what I did. Farmer's Walk wasn't in anywhere. Atlas Stone, a lot of the stuff I did wasn't in any app. So I saw this and I was like, whoa, I can add any exercise specifically. So I was like, okay, this is cool. I have to use this. So
What about before using the side?
I tried a few apps. I couldn't even name what they were, but most of my stuff was like on paper, like physically in a book that I would write down. It wasn't
Right.
online or anything.
You really posted a lot. I mean, obviously there are some gaps because everyone has some gaps.
Yeah. I'm not sure why. I was being really religious about it, and then I have everything written down, and sometimes I go back and I put it in. But yeah, sometimes I get out of the habit and I just end up keeping like a paper. I just write it down on paper or in my spreadsheet.
Do you think that posting, logging your workouts helps in your training?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like in those years I see where it's very filled out, I'm like, oh yeah, I was very consistently training. I was very diligent. I was, those were strong years. I definitely see a difference when I'm logging it all the time, because when I do it in the paper ones, you don't see it all the time, but in here I can go and look back. It's really helpful. It's really helpful when I use the site. When you put it on paper, when you're not logging it in here, you can't compare. And it's like,
Right.
I am making progress. It's like I shouldn't be feeling bad about my training. I should be feeling better. And sometimes when I'm not feeling so good about my training, I'm thinking, oh, maybe I should switch things up. Maybe I'm not doing things the right way. This gives me better perspective of, when to feel confident in my lifts and in myself, because sometimes you perceive yourself as not improving, but the site gives you real clarity sometimes, to show you that you are, even if it's just a little bit.
How much time does it take, for example, for you to log your workouts?
5 minutes, very short. 5 to 10 minutes, I would say.
Right. Do you use the browser or the mobile app?
So I use the browser, and so I have an iPhone, and I don't know if
Right.
on the
Yeah,
App
that's a
Store.
app. Yes.
That would probably be my one wish list. Every day I wish that there was an app
Yes.
on my phone.
And how do you think about posting your workouts and potentially letting others see how you train?
Yeah, that's definitely something I personally, for me, I never worry about. And I know some people won't post training videos close to a competition, so their competition can't see how good they're doing.
Right.
I don't worry about that. I post it. If people want to look, they can look. Because I don't think I do anything that is that special. If they want to copy what I'm doing, then so be it. But I don't have any kind of magic formula, and I don't usually worry about people like looking at my videos and seeing what my best lifts are.
Yeah, I think the same, because, for example, let's say you and me, we do a 5x5 on the squat. Maybe that 5x5 for you is gonna give you way more benefits than for me. Maybe you do a 5x5 and next week you can increase 10 kilograms more, but maybe because of my diet, because of my training experience, maybe if I do a 5x5, the next week I will be weaker, needing a deload, right? So even if I copy exactly what you do, I will never get the same results. So it is pointless to copy someone's workout. When you train, for example, for strong woman, right? When for example, I usually do powerlifting, right? So my training is very basic: squat, bench, deadlift. But strongman or strong woman has a lot of lifts. How do you do to keep the frequency of each movement like high enough to not get rusty, but not so much as to prevent other lifts from getting more intensity?
Usually when I prep for a competition, there's usually like 6 to 8 weeks where I hone in on those specific events. but outside of the 8 weeks before that competition, generally I just sort of rotate in some events kind of randomly just so I don't get rusty, but there's no really, I don't do events every single week, because if you do stones every single week for weeks and weeks and weeks, you're going to have a bad time. I think you're going to overexert yourself. You're going to get injured. So I generally don't do a lot of events and things, specific strongman stuff outside of the 8 weeks before competition.
Right.
I just rotate in things a little bit just because I find them fun, but there isn't like a routine where I always am doing stones or farmers or yoke on certain days. It's a lot less frequency outside of a competition prep.
Right. If you miss a day or two of training, do you feel like you messed up?
I don't know. Mentally, probably I would be really panicking, like, uh-oh. But generally, like if I miss two, I don't know. I'll try to make up things, but sometimes I don't, because then it gets to be too much. If you try to like make up those days,
Right.
then you end up overtraining and hurting yourself. But yeah, I don't know. I probably would say mentally I'm panicking, but probably mentally I'm panicking if I had to miss 2 days unexpectedly.
Yeah. On your Instagram, your description says mediocre strong woman.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, you say that because you aim really high. So anything below that, you will say is mediocre. But based on your lift, you are like really strong, above average, right?
Yeah. I mean, I do. I feel like, well, I'm not at the pro Arnold. I'm not at the top. I'm not a pro.
Right.
So to me, I feel like I'm mediocre. I'm probably as good as you can get without actually being really good.
Don't you think that as a natural woman, you are actually elite, and the pro strong woman, which take some advantage in substances, are maybe at your same level if they didn't do those?
Yeah, I would say probably I could get further if I had made that decision. But for me, like they were willing to take the risk, I guess. I'm not willing to take the risk to go further. So
obviously, yeah. Do you have some inspiring lifts that you remember when you train?
Like I would watch like the old strongman things, and I would watch like when they would do the Atlas stones. Every time I'd watch them, I would just be like, man, I just wish I could do that. So now I love to train stones. I think probably there's been a lot of moments in my career, I feel like, with stones where I've won the event because I like on the last event, because I lifted a stone more times than the next person. But yeah, that's like the one thing that has really inspired me. And then of course, people watching this might not know who John Paul Sigmarsson is, or maybe they do. He's one of the more famous strongmen. Anything he did, like I love to watch him. He was so charismatic. He made me fall in love with the sport. Anytime he did a lift, he had something, I feel like, to say about it. And so like deadlift, when he did the famous line.
Yes, there's no point in leaving if you can't do the deadlift. Yes.
Yep, that's the one. Yeah, that one. I was like, I would say that all the time.
When you have to do a heavy workout and you're gonna need to give your all, because how do you prepare yourself in terms of what do you eat? And mentally,
if I have everything is just sort of business as usual, I might have more of like a pre-workout meal if I know I have a really heavy day. So
after a big lift, for example, when you did the 380 deadlift, do you feel physically and mentally drained, or the next day you can keep training and there's nothing happened, like nothing happened?
I would say if it's like a competition where I have 5 events, the next day no, I can't. But if
Right.
it's just like a regular training day, it sort of depends. Like if it's a heavy deadlift training day and I PR my deadlift, and then the next day I'm scheduled to train, I'd probably be fine. I'd probably be a little sore, but I would still train the next
Right.
day.
How do you handle the situation when you are training and you're starting to feel like your performance is starting to drop?
Usually what I'll do is I'll maybe take that as a sign that I've been overdoing it, and I'll usually take a week where I drop the reps, or excuse me, drop the weights and do a little bit more reps, and not worry about, lifting so heavy, and just kind of recover, and then sort of resume after that week of sort of recovery. That's usually what I do. I just feel like I don't want to totally rest, but I feel like sometimes if I push it, and I've done that before where I've pushed it and been like, no, it's just one bad workout, and then that turns into 2, 3, 4. If I push it, then it ends up kind of setting me back several more weeks. So if I have a couple of bad weeks in a row where I'm not hitting my numbers that I'm supposed to, not hitting my percentages, I'll usually take a week to back off the weight, and do like a deload, and then pick up where I left off the week after that.
And do you have plans of competing in the following years, like in the?
Yeah, so last year I tried to do some grip sport stuff that got really interesting, and I signed up for 2 competitions that got canceled. This year I turned 40, so I'm thinking, well, I'm a master now, so I might be able to. Yeah, so I was like, well, I have a master's career now. I might be able to qualify for the Arnold if I work the next couple of years towards that goal. So yeah, I am kind of thinking about that now.
Do you do online coaching?
No, I've done like programs for my friends and things like that when they've asked, but I don't offer online coaching or anything like that.
Women, usually we have 4 right now, so it's harder to compete with women if there are not many of them, right? So for example, 245, this user hires. How much are you squatting right now, for example?
Right now,
Yes.
I'm probably squatting around like 250 right now.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I honestly wouldn't know what my 1 rep is, though. I've been doing
you're
like more like
right. So you're doing
volume.
250 for reps.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you ever used this section, the SPD rank, where you compare your lifts with other users from open powerlifting?
Yeah.
Do you find this useful at all?
I actually did think that it was pretty cool to kind of compare myself and see like where I'm ranking, like what I really need to like work on. It did kind of just give me a little motivation to kind of bump up my rank, especially in bench. Even though I don't bench press in competition, I still kind of want to have a big bench, and I've never had a big bench, so it kind of does motivate me to try to get up into the next section.
Have you noticed this, that when you enter the explore section, in your home, here you have like this is all related to your lifts, so you can see what you did in the last 3 weeks, 12 weeks. This is like an overview of your training. Have you ever checked this, or?
No. Is that a new feature? I feel like I hadn't noticed that or seen it before.
Yes, no, this has been there for a while now, but That's why I ask, because I think I didn't make that section pop enough for people to see it or to notice. So yeah, this is supposed to be like when you are in a hurry and you want to see what have you been doing in the past 3 weeks, for example. This is the place to come and say, okay, in the last 8 weeks, I've been doing this and that, whatever. Anyway, so interesting that this section is basically invisible. So I will do something to make it pop a little bit more. So thank you very much for your time. You are very strong. I appreciate your 10 years with the site. I hope you do more records. You keep competing. I think as a natural athlete, you are elite. I think so. Thank you very much, and I will now edit this. So thank you very much. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, and let's go for more PRs the next year.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Have a great holiday, and yeah, thanks for making the site. I feel like I need to tell more people about it, so maybe I'll try to do that from now on. Because I don't know anyone else who uses it, and I think it would be fun to have a couple friends on there.
Yeah. Right now the site is like very few people is using it, but I think we have very special people like yourself, which are really inspiring. I think people should know more about people like you and how you train, because you have done so much naturally, and that's really admirable. So have a good year, end of the year, and good holidays, and maybe see you later. Keep training.
All right. Thank you. You too. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.